we've been talking for a while, but I did want to ask you. So you actually taught English in Russia, Brazil, and India too, right? So that's three out of four of the BRIC nations, as they call them: Brazil, Russia, India, and China, right? So
yeah, I need to go and do China, don't I?
Yeah.
Amazing experience. So that was 2011 to 2015, and just an incredible experience. And I'm indebted to the people who invited me to come over and teach English, especially in Brazil, because I had just qualified as a teacher, and I was my level of English. When you start out as a teacher, you're learning on the job basically, and so it was great to go out and live in Brazil and do that stuff and basically learn on the job.
Well, I mean, your English is quite good. I mean, if I,
yeah, it's coming on. It's coming on.
But so do you speak Portuguese as well, or did you have to speak the language there, or did you?
Eu falo pouco de português. I speak a little bit of Portuguese because when I was in Brazil, I had to kind of integrate with the people around me, and we did lots of stuff where we went to theatres quite often. So my girlfriend at the time was an actress, and so we went to like theatre productions quite often. And I found that in the early days it was very difficult because I knew zero Portuguese when I went to Brazil, because it was kind of like a knee-jerk idea. And so I needed to be able to give each person who'd just come off stage like a little appraisal of like what they did and like how I enjoyed what they did and their part in the play. And in the early days, all I could really just say was like, you good, him bad, you good. And the way I describe it is I kind of spoke like Borat speaks English in Portuguese.
Right, okay. And then you went to Russia after that. And did you know a little bit of all three of these languages? I would have to assume at this point.
In Brazil, I had lessons, so I had actual lessons with a proper tutor in Portuguese, and I had time in Brazil as well. I had leisure time. I think I had something like 22 hours of contact teaching in Brazil, so I had a lot of free time, which was basically filled by partying and playing football and eating at churrascarias, which are like the meat restaurant, and going to the beach. So there was a lot. I had more free time in Brazil, is what I'm saying. It was amazing.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
It was great. Visiting Rio as well, that was cool. And visiting Uruguay as well, which I would recommend to anybody. It's such an amazing country. It doesn't really get spoken about, but Uruguay is just, they've got the most kind-natured people ever. And it's just really laid back and chilled. But yeah, also Russia, I lived in Russia the same year as Brazil. So I went from like a 42 degree heat, that's Celsius, by the way, so right. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, to a minus 40 in Siberia in the same year.
Oh, you were in Siberia?
Yeah.
What town in Siberia? Not that I'm an expert, but...
It's a little town called Kogalim, which is north of Kazakhstan. It's almost directly north of Kazakhstan. The biggest major city is 17 hours drive from it, just to give you an idea of how isolated that town is.
That's 17 hours?
Yeah,
really?
I think it's to Omsk. I always get it mixed up. It's either Omsk or Tomsk is the nearest big city, and it's 17 hours drive. There is a city called Surgut, which is about 2 hours drive. The most wonderful, welcoming people I've ever met in my whole life, the most friendly, generous people. And in the times that we're having now, I'm always conscious of telling people that, there's a lot of propaganda that we get from our government. Your government's the same. Britain and the USA are kind of like hand in hand in all of this stuff. And I speak so highly of the Russian people. They were amazing to me. They're really good people. They are, kind and generous. And they also have an amazing connection to nature that we've kind of lost in England, like medicines and remedies and things like that. They know how to use plants and they have lots of admirable character traits. So in the very difficult times that we have now, I do like to just say to people that don't believe, like our government, like don't believe that the people of the country represent the views of the government, because
sure, well,
often
yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's I was watching a documentary one time, and it was, they were in the far eastern part of like Siberia, and it was like, they came to this town. I was like, oh, this is the name of the little town, but I'm like, I have heard of this. I think that's the name of one of the countries in Risk. Like, I don't remember what the name of it was. Ural or something. Maybe not Ural. That's not. I don't know. Anyway, it was just like, no, it's Irkutsk, I think. And I'm like, wow, that's this whole like giant region on the Risk board is named after this tiny town, apparently, because there's just nobody there. Yeah. At least this is like all implications that I've come up with in my mind. So don't
city, county,
don't
and
quote me on
state
that.
Of New York.
Yeah, it might be 2.7 million people. I'm sure it's not, though. There's lots of small places, and it is beautiful there, though. I think the feeling of being out in like the wilderness in Siberia, there's such a magical feeling there that I've never experienced anywhere else. It's kind of where they have all like the mammoths and anything that's prehistoric that's been found in the ground. A lot of them are found in Siberia because they're really well preserved because of the cold. And there's just a magic in the air. And I remember like when at the end of the day, if I was like locking up my classroom, because I was on like one of the higher floors, I was locking up my classroom and walking around the corridor to go home. There was just something about looking out of the window that I felt there that I've never felt in any other country. There's a very powerful presence in Russia that I can't really explain.
That's interesting. That's neat. I feel like I'd be very cold.
Well, Jeremy, I looked up 42 Celsius.
I don't know.
Might need defrosting on the way back.
In American.
Whereabouts are you, Pat? Are you also in Florida?
Probably gets hotter there than it does here sometimes.
Is Texas next to Arizona? Is that next to Arizona?
No, you got New Mexico in the weather. I'm trying to see the map in my head. I've never been much farther west than here. I've been all over the East Coast, but west, all the square states goof me up. They all look the same to me.
It's close. It's close enough to Arizona, right? You could say that.
That's got to be only about 24-hour drive away from here.
But.
Yeah, just up the road. In America, though, that is up the road because, people would say to me, oh, it's just across the street from here. And it would be like 5 kilometers because everyone drives everywhere. So no one actually walks anywhere. So there was a guy that said, oh, I'll meet you at this coffee shop. It's just across the way from the airport that I was landing in.
Yeah, because nothing's right across from
it was like 3 kilometers to the coffee shop.
Some distance when you leave the airport before you get anywhere worth going, at least.
Yeah. I just looked on a map and I was like, oh yeah, it is quite close. It is right next to the airport. And then when I actually got there, yeah, it's not. But America's just vast. America's huge, and
it's a very
so
large
epic.
place.
Yeah,
it's a large place for sure. And then you got the rest of the continent of North America. Then you got South America, and it's like wow, it's I don't know. It blows my mind that somebody that made maps like back in the day, all of a sudden he gets 2 out of 7 continents named after him, which is, kind of
pretty
ridiculous. Well. Listen, is there anything? I'm just trying to think before we wrap up. Anything you want to talk about before we get going, or is there? Obviously, we'll talk about where we can find you and stuff. But
I should have prepared something for this. I definitely should have prepared something for this. No, I think what I would say maybe, and I hope it's not too kind of cheesy, is that don't get stuck in a job that you hate, that you don't like at any point, because I've been in that position, and there is always a way out, and you can always find a way to do the thing that you love professionally. I studied music technology at university, and it took me 10 years to get a job in the industry. And it wasn't that I kind of never gave up, and I was always like, super focused on definitely doing it, but I kind of just worked hard in the background on my passion. I learned how to program synths and vaguely produce music, and that's always my advice to people, because I know a lot of people get stressed out with their jobs. There's a lot of office politics and a lot of stupid stuff that people have to put up with at work, and that would be one bit of advice, that you don't have to put up with that. Bleep out the swear word there. You can. There is a job that you can find that you will love doing.
Well, there you go. That's great. That's great advice. I would entirely agree with that. And I feel like, if you do something that you love, you're probably going to be good at it too. I mean, usually,
exactly. Yeah, it's like the ultimate motivation, isn't it?
Yeah, very cool. Well, listen, we're
if anybody could do it, why not me? We learned that last month.
Yeah, incremental progress. I completely agree. If you can make yourself like 1% better, like every day or every month, like that is incremental progression. And I think that's what life's about. It's about making your life better and making the people around you life better and supporting people, and elevating each other.
Well, now if we want to find you, where could we find you? I know it's MIDI_error. That's one way to find you on Twitter.
Oh, I don't know. I'm kind of quite elusive, as I'm wearing the sunglasses for a reason, and this is my first sort of public appearance ever. So I'm not necessarily desperate for people to find me, or kind of forcing them to kind of find my stuff online. But I did mention my rubbish YouTube channel. So I do have a YouTube channel which has got various sort of thrown together projects and electronic tracks, and some of my podcasts on there. So that's Midierror on YouTube. My SoundCloud account has all of the podcasts, as well as like some of the music that I've made over the years. So that's MIDI. I think that's MIDI-error on SoundCloud. If you Google Midierror, that's normally what I tell people to do, because you'll get all of the you'll get all of my pages, because a really good friend of mine, James Wiltshire, who's an amazing producer, he was part of the duo of the Freemasons, who were an amazing duo, and James is like the most talented producer I know. He was like, with your name Midierror, you've managed to like skip all of Google SEO and everything. If you type Midierror into Google, it's all my stuff, and I haven't paid a penny to anyone to like advertise this, because it's such an obscure thing.
You don't have a common name like me, where there's 5 more famous Pat Regans all ahead of me.
Are there? How dare they?
Oh yeah.
Can you not get them taken out? Should we get them taken out?
The best one of them is a UFO conspiracy author. And I think that's fantastic. I want to buy his books and put them on the shelf, and I want everybody to see them. I just want to edit out his picture on the back, though, so it looks.
Yeah, you should put your own face. You should put your own rotating face on the back of his book, or like a hologram, or a sticker with a
I
rotating
really wanted
face.
to make one of those. The kind of hologram, the one that.
Oh wow!
I really want one of those.
Yeah. You should do
That's
that.
probably doable.
I would fund
That's
that.
Probably easy.
If you do like a GoFundMe, Pat, I will fund that. I will put. I will put my life savings into that.
Yeah, I didn't even think of.
I'm not going to go that far, but I'll give you $10.
I'll give you £100. I'll give you £100 easy.
Wow.
I bet it's cheap to do that now. The last time I thought of that was, before all these companies were selling, printed mugs and things. So
you have to do it.
I bet you somebody will do that.
Yeah, you have to do it.
Lenticular something or
yes,
other.
Exactly. Lenticular images, or like the hologram. Like the sort of 3D ones. I've just thought of a couple of other things that people might be able to check out if they're interested. So I do make Max for Live devices. So I make devices for Ableton Live, and I program my own plugins for that. So that's Gumroad/Midierror, and that's a ton of plugins to make to either fuel creativity and making music. They're quite off the wall ideas, some of the things I've made there, or they're synth editors for some classic synths like the TX81Z, the FBO1, the DX100. I could go on. And my Tindie Store. I have to, Jeremy. I should really probably shout out my Tindie Store, which where I sell an arpeggiator and a strum device, which I turned into a MIDI leg at some time for a Slovakian artist called Elizabeth Balkas. So yeah, she commissioned me to make a MIDI leg, and if you look at my rubbish YouTube channel, you will see the MIDI leg, which is made from one of the things that I sell called a strum. There's also a lo-fi pedal, like a bit crusher pedal, and various other bits and pieces. But Jeremy's store's much more interesting than mine.
Oh well, I wouldn't say
Jeremy,
it's.
I saw you're catching up to me in sales now, Jeremy.
Oh,
Tindie.
Well, thanks. Yeah,
I'm
well,
very proud of you.
Yeah, Pat's also a seller on Tindie.
I did not know that.
He makes. You were selling the SodaStream adapters, correct?
I have been. I'm going to stop.
I'm going to stop.
Yeah, Pat, they fail too often. I'm not happy with them. It's like a 6% failure rate. I'm not happy. They just don't. They don't fit everybody's machine.
What does it do?
I'm sure somebody could machine something similar, but it would be a lot of setup. It would not be an easy. They've tried to make it difficult to use. Aldi sells aftermarket, non-approved CO2 tanks for the old SodaStream machines. So SodaStream made a new machine with some copy protection in there to keep you from... the new bottle is ridiculously complicated up at the nozzle. It's weird. I don't understand. But people seem excited about the adapters.
Yeah, I can't wait to see them. Has there been, Jeremy? Has there been a product review of the SodaStream adapter?
I don't know if there has or not. What do you?
A write-up, sorry. Yeah, has there been a write-up?
Don't review it because I printed the last. I think we printed 16 of them, and that's all we're going to sell. And we're going to turn it off, and that's.
Pat's not the most aggressive marketing person in the world. I think one of his Tindie products says you should probably just print this yourself, right?
They do. I'd much rather people print it themselves than make.
But you do sell some of those though, even though it has that warning on it.
I do. Yeah, not that many of. Yeah.
I love that approach. My friend Jason, whose products I sell, 64 Pixels, he's got one of the biggest stores on Tindie, or he had. Before I think we had Brexit, so he's not selling on Tindie at the moment. But he's very much from Pat's school of marketing, and he does nothing to promote his products. So when I met him, I was like, "Man, you should promote these." And he was like, "I don't want to. People would just find them." And I was like, "I'm going to promote them, man." And we did. And eventually, Jean-Michel Jarre bought one, Vince Clarke bought one. Pete Townsend bought one, and so the marketing paid off in the end, even though Jason didn't want any of that.
This is Jason Hotchkiss, is that?
Hotchkiss, yeah. Okay. Very talented man, unbelievably talented guy.
Yeah.
Super. Check out his YouTube channel for like really interesting stuff. Like, don't go to mine, go to Jason Hotchkiss's, because he's one of those kind of programmer guys who can just think of an idea and make it happen very quickly, and then forget about it and move on to something else. And he's just like a fountain of ideas. And we just basically need to clone Jason in order to like. I feel like if we could do that, then the human race would be on a much better technological path.
Yeah, well. So. Well, you're quite the humble guy, Chris. I mean, you do some really neat stuff. We gotta give you a little credit for that at least.
Thank you. Yeah, I enjoy it. I enjoy the whole Tindie experience. I love going to like the post office and posting them off, and I love having the emails with customers when they buy it. And I send off stickers with my stuff now, so they all get Midierror stickers. And it's a nice little sort of. Yeah, it's a nice thing when someone emails you and says, "I love your products." It's they send you a photograph of their studio. It's great. It's a cool thing. And there's a great team at Tindie too.
It's awesome. Well, Pat, if we wanted to find you, where could we find you?
Well, Jeremy, I am on Tindie. There's a URL you could go to and you can find it. But if you go to patshead.com, there's links to everything that I do. They're over on the side. I mean, I want to point to which side they're on, but I don't know which way you're looking at me, but it's on one of the sides up at the top. It's on your right. up at the top as a list of links to all sorts of stuff. What about you, Jeremy? Are you on the internet also as well?
So I'm on the internet as well. You can find me on the Create Invent podcast, which is here. You can...
I'm there too. Oh my goodness.
On Twitter, I'm at Jeremy S. Cook. And then if you look up jeremyscook.com, it's got a bunch of other information. YouTube, various other things. Who knows? Maybe there's like a MySpace account floating around somewhere. Or Chris, we've really enjoyed you coming on. It's Chris, Midierror, makes all kinds of interesting things and reporting too. So
thank you so much. Yeah, it's been great to speak to you guys.
I'm looking for Jeremy on MySpace.
Thanks so much, Chris. Thanks, Pat, and thanks
for having me on,
too.
Jeremy.
Yeah,
thanks,
you're welcome.
Guys.
Thanks for coming on.
Really enjoyed it. Cheers.
And if you look up Jeremy Cook on YouTube, I may come up, or Jeremy Clarkson Cooks with Gordon Ramsay may come up as well. So that's, I guess, I don't share his name, but I guess he's famous enough that he eclipses lots of people.
As does Norman Cook, I imagine.
Yeah. Well, actually, I didn't know that was his name until I listened to your podcast. I hate to admit it.
Well, his name is not actually Norman. There's, his name is originally Quentin. He's called Quentin Cook, but he couldn't sort of handle that as a first name, so he actually got his name changed by default to Norman.
Could be somebody so revolutionary, which I suppose you could say he is, that all of a sudden that name becomes synonymous with something awesome. You know, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, you'd think that's kind of a ridiculous name, but now it's like, wow, it's that guy.
Yeah,
so
great name. There is a guy that I know in Brighton's quite a sort of left field kind of place, and there is a guy I know who's got an asterisk in his name here. And
you can do that.
Yeah, I can't remember what his actual name is, but it begins with a Z and it ends on an asterisk.
And, you know, people ask me sometimes how to spell my name. How do you spell Cook? I'm like, wait, what do you think? It's like the guy at Hardee's, you know? But just imagine if I had an asterisk in my name. You know, it's not...
If you did, where would you put it?
Guess I'd put it where so you couldn't read the swear word.
Oh, is that what the S stands for? I know there's a stop button here somewhere.